All right, welcome back to Just Car Guys, a show where me and my dad talk about the latest and greatest car news and car stories from the last week.
Yeah, just a quick reminder, I haven't seen any of the content that Anthony has put together for us today, so looking forward to seeing what you brought this week.
There's some pretty awesome stuff, especially with SEMA coming up here. We have some cool cars. First up, Chevrolet has an insane new crate motor.
Oh, man.
This engine is a 10-liter V8 that pushes 1,004 horsepower and 876 pound-feet of torque. Keep in mind that is naturally aspirated with no supercharging or turbocharging assistance. This engine is, of course, made for racing, and Chevy noted that it has gone through over 200 simulated drag races on a dyno without any failures. The engine goes on sale in early 2022, and pricing hasn't been announced yet, but it is expected to be more than $16,000 when compared
I would
to other
imagine.
options.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
That's cool. Hey, how great is it that some of the manufacturers are still messing around with gas-powered engines?
That's awesome.
You know, that's cool.
It's super cool. 1,000 horsepower crate engine. Next there, so we go from Chevy to Ford here. Ford is bringing 6 custom Broncos to SEMA, 4 of which are based off of full-size Broncos and 2 based on Bronco Sports. And so with those 6, I decided to pick the 3 coolest ones because some of them kind of have repeating kind of features. Yeah. So the first is the Bronco RTR Fun Runner, which is being customized by Von Gittin Jr. and RTR vehicles, featuring upgrades from Ford Performance and some off-road inspired modifications, suspension stuff, you know, all those goodies.
Cool.
Next is the BDS Suspensions Bronco, again featuring many upgrades for off-road performance like suspension, bumpers, bigger wheels and tires, which that thing looks pretty cool.
They made like a truck cab with it too.
It almost looks like a fire truck kind of.
That's tough
design.
Yeah,
neat.
I like it.
And
it
then,
might be the first time I saw an aftermarket like front bumper on them yet.
I think
so.
So.
That's cool.
I like it.
Yeah.
And this next one is by far the coolest. We have the Tucci Hot Rods Bronco featuring quad tracks on all 4 corners. Yeah. The vehicle also features a snowboard rack, light bar, and a 7-speed manual transmission. How awesome is that?
The tracks are just cool. Yeah.
Like anything with tracks, immediately cool factor, like raised 100%. It's so awesome. Now, this is pretty crazy. As you know, this company we're about to speak of recently was just about to go bankrupt.
Okay.
Or they did go bankrupt. I don't remember. Maybe they did go bankrupt. Hertz is buying 100,000 Teslas for $4.2 billion. This will make up 20% of Hertz's fleet of vehicles and is a huge move by the company as the largest EV purchase to date. The Tesla Model 3 cars will show up at Hertz locations next month and continually show up across the United States and Europe through the end of 2022. Hertz also plans to install thousands of chargers across the US and Europe, those being level 2 and DC fast charging stations in 65 cities by the end of 2022 and over 100 by the end of 2023. Wow.
That's a big move.
That's
20% of their inventory will be electric. That's giant. That's pretty wild. I saw them teasing with some of the commercials. I don't know if you've seen them yet. They actually got Tom Brady to do commercials with them. Yeah. And so that alone cost them a pretty penny, I'm sure.
Oh, I bet.
And then 100,000 Teslas.
Crazy.
But it's probably a good move.
Probably.
I mean, if you think about how many miles get put on, rental vehicles, and I mean, it may be a little challenging for them to keep on top of people for charging and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. There may be people that let them run out, or who knows? I don't know. I don't know how many miles people usually put on a standard rental, what the average is. They might be able to make it with just one charge anyways, you know? So then you don't have to worry about it. Plus all the maintenance that you don't have to do.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. It's probably a decent move to shift some of it. I mean, a lot of it's going to be moving that direction anyways, right? Yeah. But wow. Interesting.
So then another part of this, which is pretty huge and also very interesting, is part of Hertz's plan as well has to do with Uber. So this puts 50,000 of the vehicles into the Uber ride-sharing fleet, meaning drivers can rent a Tesla from Uber Technologies for a flat monthly fee that includes maintenance and insurance costs. So the fee will start at $334 per week, but the price will drop to $299 or lower later, quote. They didn't really give us a deadline on that. This lines up with Uber's goal to be a completely EV only service by 2030 in the US, Canada, and Europe. The program starts on November 1st in select cities, and the 50,000 Teslas will be available to drivers by 2023.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
I didn't realize Uber had the goal of going 100% electric.
Me neither.
Like,
until I saw that story.
Huh. That's fascinating. So they're gonna force people who, you know, currently drive for them to get electric vehicles, and now Hertz is providing an option for them to get one through them. So, very interesting. I can't wait to see how that kind of unfolds. Like what happens with it.
Agreed. I'd like to follow it as well to see what happens. Now, this is awesome. Porsche is finally giving us a look at a car many have been waiting for quite some time. It's not like Porsche, they've waited kind of long to debut this vehicle. And I think you kind of know what it is by me talking about it. Introducing the Porsche Cayman GT4 RS. So the recent images feature a slightly still camouflage version, but you can still see all the aggressive aerodynamics and all that stuff. It's still pretty revealing. Alongside the first look with these images, Porsche also revealed that the car ran around the Nürburgring at an impressive 7 minutes and 9 seconds.
I saw that. That is
a whole 23.6 seconds faster than the current GT4.
That's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I think it's really close to the straight up GT3.
Yeah.
Very close.
7 minutes.
That's awesome. I
wild.
love what they've done with some of the features they picked off of the other vehicle. Now I can't wait to see it without, you know, the camouflage on it, because I know, like, when we saw the GT3 when they first launched it, you could see the bones were there, but once they kind of fully revealed it was a whole other level.
100%.
So, but just the fact that they've got like the NACA in the hood and things like that,
you know what I
or the boot or whatever you want to call it, the front, the frunk.
You know what I love that Porsche is starting to do? Swan neck wings.
Oh yeah,
they're just different and they're so cool.
It's taken me, I'll be honest, it took me a little while to get used to that. It's a different design, but boy, they really pulled it off on the GT3. Like, that thing is sick,
so
and it looks pretty cool here. So
this is also expected to feature a developed version of the naturally aspirated 4-liter flat six that already exists in the GT4, and the horsepower is predicted to be around 500 horsepower. Wow. There are no details on official specs or pricing yet, but it is expected to be somewhere north of $130,000.
Look, I mean, a 500 horsepower Cayman is what people have been saying has been needed, right?
Oh, yeah.
You get the mid-engine, you get the handling, the lightweight, smaller package. That is going to be a sick car. Beautiful. It really is.
The Corvette Z06 is finally here. So the 2023 Chevrolet Corvette Z06 features a flat plane crank 5.5-liter V8 engine that revs up to 8,600 RPM.
That is a screaming V8, though. Like,
and of course, has tons of extra aerodynamic bits to make it that much more extreme. So this thing's awesome.
Very
and
cool.
It screams, it sounds fantastic. So this has 670 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, which makes this the highest horsepower naturally aspirated V8 engine ever put in a production car. This engine is completely brand new, made from scratch, and each will get a 20-minute break-in on the dyno before getting installed in the Z06 to ensure it meets standards, which is pretty cool, and this is GM first, actually. Also, another awesome thing to come from the development of this car is the Corvette team didn't like the recent norm of having track tires that are only at their best for like the first few laps. So for the Z06, they partnered with Michelin to create a new version of their Pilot Sport Cup 2 Rs.
Okay.
Which now drivers are seeing their best lap times more around lap 10 and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. Really cool.
They got to break in a little bit, but they last longer.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So the Z06 also features 20-inch front and 21-inch rear wheels that are forged aluminum or can be optioned in carbon fiber, which is fantastic. The Z06 also features bezels on the rear bumper that are meant to act as reverse trumpets to ensure that the beautiful screaming engine can be heard as much as possible in the cabin from the exhaust.
That's great.
Awesome.
That's great that they thought about the noise, right?
Oh, yeah.
If they're going to compete with the big guns, they've got to figure that part out. And they've got, everybody's got engineers thinking about the sound that comes out of these. Now, this flat plane crank like that, those are what makes the screaming noise to begin with.
Oh,
so
yeah.
at 86 or 8,800 RPM, I can't remember what you said.
86.
That's going to be a screaming car.
Fantastic.
I think they did a great job with the aero bits and the carbon fiber on this. Are those carbon fiber wheels? Yeah.
Yes.
You just mentioned
listening?
that. Kind of. But I was too busy focused on the previous shot had the one more. So the arrow up front behind the front wheel, the way it kind of arches out and then curves back in.
Skirt.
I feel like that might fix this car for me. I personally am not a fan of the exterior looks and styling of this car.
Yes.
And when you see it in person, for me, it looks like the rear end. It looks like it was kind of stuck on there.
Yeah.
I like the wider body rear end. Like the 911 pulls it off beautifully.
Well, but that's somehow
Ferrari pulls it off
and
beautifully. Like the way it transitions into that. And I just haven't. Just for me, others probably love it, and that's fine. That's great. That obviously they're selling a heck of a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I feel like that detail there is going to fix it for me.
Well,
I think I want to see it.
It wasn't balanced.
Yeah,
before.
I want to see it in real life.
Me too.
But very, very promising. That's cool.
Isn't this thing awesome?
It is.
It sounds fantastic. There's those like fake tips on the bumper that are supposed to reflect sound back into the cabin.
That's cool.
So cool. Now from big V8s, we go to some electric news. General Motors has announced they will begin selling their own electric vehicle charging stations, and they plan to donate 40,000 of them to their 4,000 plus licensed dealers to install in their communities, which is kind of cool. The Ultium charging stations that are announced come in 3 variations with many features. One model including a touchscreen and a camera, and with power rating from 11.5 to 19.2 kilowatts. Deliveries of the first chargers will start in early 2022, and EV buyers can even put the cost of these chargers in their financing at the dealer. Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Cool way to go about it. And so that program they're doing with giving them to dealers is certain dealers are going to get at least, I think at most it was like 10 of them. And then they have to partner kind of with the community to put them in places,
strategic places
that are like there is not charging already and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
SEMA just keeps on giving. Fantastic. Honda announced they're bringing 2 race car concepts based off the new Civic Si sedan to SEMA this year. Can I just say that looks fantastic?
Yeah.
I love those things so much. So the first is dubbed the HPD Honda Civic Si, which is designed to compete in the SROTC America series, and the second is a one-off model built by a group of Honda engineers set to compete at the 25 Hours of Thunder Hill. The HPD Civic Si has, of course, many modifications, from a tune for the 1.5-liter turbo inline-4, special exhaust, race spec limited slip differential, and many other safety and suspension modifications. And just like, dude, that thing's just cool.
That is really cool.
It's awesome. The other is much more customized, featuring similar safety mods, but much more drivetrain mods, featuring a new tune, an oil cooler, bigger radiator, a titanium exhaust, a custom gear set for the transmission, and tons of suspension and braking modifications. They're just awesome.
Very cool.
Awesome cars. All right, so what do you think of the new Civic?
I like it.
I think it is so much better.
Yeah, they've done a great job with it. Fix the rear end for me, anyway.
100%. I think it looks so much better than the other. Like, they brought it back to what I feel like it should be.
Yeah.
It's not like some crazy extreme
The second rendering looks a little.
They're not renders.
It looked like it. They just got professional photos. It looks a little high in the back. You know what I mean?
It does.
Like,
yeah.
It's not, because the other one was kind of hunkered down more. It was just sat lower.
Yeah, I agree. That is interesting. I wonder what's up with that.
Yeah, probably once you start getting going, that wing pushes down, blows it all out.
Yeah, they had to raise it up so that they could push it down.
There's so much downforce from that giant wing.
That's hilarious. Lucid Air EVs are finally getting into customers' hands. So they held an event on October 30th, bringing together a group of customers to come to California and pick up their Dream Edition EV. They then got to take their cars on a Lucid Rally, featuring, quote, some of the best driving roads in the Bay Area, end quote, before driving their cars home. The Dream Edition, keep in mind, these things are pretty cool, and the Lucid Air Dream Edition comes in either range or performance spec and starts at $169,000, with the performance having a 1,111 horsepower and the range only 933 horsepower. That's crazy.
That's awesome.
It's so cool. I honestly really like the Lucids.
I can't wait to see one.
I really want to see one in person.
Yeah.
Now, for the first time in a very long time, Mercedes has updated the SL. Introducing the 2022 Mercedes-AMG SL, coming in either SL55 and SL63 models. The models both feature a 4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 making 469 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque in the SL55, and 577 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque in the SL63. And as well, for the first time, the SL engine will push power to all 4 wheels, with all-wheel drive now coming standard, as well as 4-wheel steering.
Really?
Pretty awesome looking car. I honestly really like it.
It's a great refresh, yeah.
Yeah, it looks great. The SL, as you can see, gets a major redesign, becoming much smoother and increasing the room, like in the cabin and stuff like that. It now becomes a 2+2 instead of just 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's now, you can see there's 2 little seats in the back.
Seat.
The new design makes the new SL look very similar to the AMG GT Roadster, but that will soon be getting a redesign as well, which Mercedes design chief Gordon Wegener says that when it is revealed, quote, the difference between the 2 cars will be much more. So it sounds like we'll be seeing some new design,
something more dramatic,
GT, which is pretty awesome. The model also goes from a retractable hardtop to classic soft top, which can be raised or lowered in 15 seconds at up to 37 miles per hour. And the new SL is also expected to get the new AMG e-Performance plug-in hybrid system, which could bring total power up to 804 horsepower and 738 pound-feet.
Oh my gosh. Really?
Which, keep in mind, the SL63 is expected to go 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. And that's 600 horsepower, so you have an additional 200 from that AMG e-Performance system.
It's a great looking car.
It really looks good.
It's sleek and simple
awesome.
but beautiful. Like,
agree.
well executed there.
That's really
nice job.
Now, next up here, Rolls-Royce is adding the black badge treatment to the 2022 Rolls-Royce Ghost. Awesome car. The new Ghost will feature lots and lots of black, 21-inch carbon fiber wheels, and tons of small details to set it apart from the rest of the models. The new Ghost also features an updated interior with digital instruments and uses lots of metal, wood, and leather. Of course, all very, very premium versions of such. The standard Ghost features a 563 horsepower, 6.7-liter V12 engine. And the black badge bumps that horsepower up to 592 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque. Customers can order their Ghost black badge now, with pricing expected to be around $400,000.
Wow.
They're crazy.
Yeah, it's a beautiful car though. Like,
that color
so
on the interior.
That's kind of extreme. I didn't expect that.
Oh, I love that. Now, with SEMA as well coming, many manufacturers are creating some pretty cool concepts to showcase, as we've covered some awesome ones so far. Yep. Jeep has created a special stretched Wrangler, adding an additional row of seats and featuring a stepped roofline. Isn't that awesome? It just looks really cool. There's something about it. It looks awesome.
So it almost looks like they did it off of the truck. And
they might have.
Yeah. Just as a starting point.
So they call the concept the Wrangler Overlook, and it's lengthened by a foot, has 3 rows of seats, and a roof extension, which still remains removable.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. How cool is that? Look at that interior. Yeah. What? Oh, they've come a long ways. Yeah.
Jeep has really stepped up their game on interiors, can I just say. Like, in recent years, the Jeep interiors are nice.
Yeah. They've come a long ways.
Well.
And they needed to.
Yeah, they really did.
Yeah.
Well, with that is it for today's episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at AnthonyCIFAL. With that, you have an excellent rest of your week.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us again. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace out.